All right, on this episode of Bouts Talking Bouts, very excited to be talking to an individual who's featured on that BFL 71 card, which transpires in Vancouver, BC on February 17th. Battlefield Fight League back at it with an interim lightweight championship fight as Dario Sinagoga and Kyran Cameron test skills, and very happy to be talking to Kyran once again. How's everything going with the training preparations ahead of this one here, man?
It's been going really well. We have our facility finally in order since the last time we talked, so camp has been running smoothly.
Yeah, and that's really cool to see because, the pandemic has created such a tumultuous timeline for a lot of the local, Southern Ontario fighters and stuff like that, like some of the Parabellum MMA guys and just what happened there. But it's so cool to see what's going on with Aegis MMA now. Can you talk to, I guess, the point of how satisfying it is to kind of have that space locked in and solidified after some of those roadblocks I kind of alluded to?
Yeah, exactly. It's been pretty much smooth sailing since we opened up. It was hard, like going into the last training camp. We were training in a 600 square foot facility. I was training out of garages and people's backyards, just finding wherever I could to get the work done, right? So it's so good to have one location, Aegis MMA, where we're all training under right now. So just like one less thing to think about, right? Like we have our one-stop shop for all of our training.
Yeah, and just such a great space. Like it just seems like an amalgamation of all the real elite players in the Southern Ontario and just Ontario in general kind of area. Just getting to work with Aaron Jeffrey, Bobby Poulter, Scott Hudson. I mean, I could really go on, and especially also because a few of those guys have fights coming up too. So I imagine you're getting in some really great work in that regard because you're all focused on your individual tasks there.
Exactly. It's never a shortage of bodies. And we're all ramping up for fights that are coming up. So it's great to have all those guys in such a close-knit team.
And just sharing the card with a teammate too, and Bobby Poulter on this one coming up. Is there a sense of, I guess, residual momentum you feel when competing on cards with teammates where, say, you see them show out and it bolsters your performance that much more? As much as MMA is an individual sport, is there that, team kind of dynamic, that compounding sort of effect I'm talking about?
Yeah, definitely. And we're so close in weight. So he is one of my main training partners, and we definitely are getting that momentum rolling together. We were training for the last card together as well, though my fight fell through. So it is good to keep that momentum rolling with him. And we also have Amin fighting for an amateur title. So just having that energy in the room when we're all ramping up for one event is amazing.
Yeah, it's cool for me to see from an outsider perspective. So I imagine it's that much cooler for you, no doubt. But interesting with this one, bit of a switch in the weight division there. I saw the post you had after the last fight there and talking about how you stood toe to toe with the very best in Canada at welterweight, and just saying oh, now might be the time to put the lightweight division on notice. Was there a pronounced size difference you noticed in that fight, or was there a particular takeaway from that BFL 67 welterweight title bid that prompted the, I guess, divisional switch?
Yeah, I think it was my last three opponents had all come down from 185 prior to our fights, right? And it's just going back, speaking with my coaches and debriefing after the last fight that we had. We just thought that 155 is probably a more natural weight class for me. I wasn't a huge 170. I was outsized by a lot of my opponents going into that last fight. It's harder for me to keep on the weight that I think I need to be competitive at the highest levels of 170, right? I want to fight the best. I see myself in the UFC very soon. So I believe that at 155, I'll be able to use my strengths a little bit more to my advantage, that being my reach and my striking skills.
And just with this being the first go around at lightweight after some previous efforts at welterweight and middleweight, are there any, I guess, amendments to this particular training camp? Any, I guess, dietary considerations or switches with maybe like strength and conditioning to like a more cardio intensive effort? Like, are there any amendments at all with the switch to a different weight category?
Yeah, it's just mainly being mindful of one of the first real cuts I've had to do in a while. Like my cuts to 170 haven't really been too taxing on my body at all, and I didn't have to like think about like my calories I've been taking in as much, just kind of eating clean. So this time around, it's more of like a real MMA weight cut. The weight's been coming down very well, and yeah, it's just about working the cardio, which I have been doing since my last fight was also a 5-rounder. So it's just naturally been coming down. It's going to be a bit of a struggle come cut time, but it always is, right?
And just with this one being fairly early on in the calendar year, it kind of prompted me to ask there, because I mean, you got a pair of bouts in last year for sure. Is there like an ideal strength of schedule you hope to have for 2022?
Yeah, like I want to get this fight out of the way, and then I'm looking. We are very early in the year, so I would like to have 2 more by the end of the year. 3 would be ideal. I believe that 2 to 3 wins will put me right back on the path to Contender Series or UFC debut.
And that's like the primary focus for like a quote unquote next step, as it were, like something more on that Contender Series, get up to UFC kind of level? Or is there that like observing what some of the other leagues are doing, like a Bellator or PFL 1, etc.?
Yeah, like those are always an option as well. I do really like the feeder system that BFL has going into Contender Series in UFC. Like we did see the previous lightweight champion test his skills on Contender Series. So I believe that's kind of what they're going for with their deal on UFC Fight Pass. So I believe that after I string together a couple more wins and good performances, that I'll be next in line for that opportunity.
Well, it's been such a great look for the promotion, and I mean, even before the Fight Pass deal, had like a good track record for it. But like to your point, that's a good one. It seems like an even more defined like feeder league kind of dynamic. So I imagine you're really enjoying getting, that as like a broadcast platform, just even in as far as facilitating the UFC goal.
Yeah, exactly. Like in terms of promotions out of Canada, I do believe like I'm in the best situation right now to further my career into that avenue.
And just in talking about your upcoming opponent here, Dario Sinagoga, I mean, a very impressive individual from what I've been able to see there. He had the split decision last time with Zach Powell that a lot of people thought was fairly polarizing, admittedly myself as well. But I mean, when he fought, Craig Shintani, another high-level guy, got the first round stoppage there. Like, what are your, I guess, main takeaways from what you've seen in studying tape of Dario Sinagoga? Like, what would be his main stylistic proclivities and like the big tools in your estimation?
Yeah, like he's a scrappy guy. He is coming in undefeated, although, like as you said, the last win could have really gone either way, and a lot of people argue that it shouldn't have gone his way. So, but it will look good fighting an undefeated fighter. I think that he's a scrappy guy and will look to bring the fight to me. But overall, like I think his strengths ultimately feed into my strengths, right? So if he is going to stand toe-to-toe with me, that I believe that I have the cleaner striking, and I believe if it hits the ground that I have a lot of weapons that I'm able to use that will cause him problems.
And we were talking earlier just about how many, great fighters from the Southern Ontario area are able to train with you, and just the great community in that regard. Like, I'm kind of curious, like in terms of some of the, I guess, Niagara top team guys, like do you get to work with them much at all? Like, I guess I'm asking that in the context of if you've maybe gotten some localized insights from Zach Powell, who obviously trains at NTT and last faced Sinagoga.
Oh yeah, for sure. We definitely we go out to NTT quite a bit, at least once a week, and they come down and train with us as well. So we do get quite a bit of cross training in with that team. Also, a very strong team out of the Southern Ontario. I train with Zach Powell as well, and I'm in rounds in with him. So I have an idea his skill set and what he was able to bring to the fight. But ultimately, I'm a different fighter than Zach, right? So I'm going to bring my strength to the table and fight my fight. I don't really need to ask him about Dario, what he felt in the fight, because I have 15 minutes of tape that I can watch and look at and kind of see where he kind of lacks in the wrestling department, at least.
So skill
set to the table, which is going to be different than Zach's, right?
Yeah, no doubt. So you're able to like make those inferences just from the tape study and everything like that. And yeah, I guess that is a fair point. You have different body types, different stylistic proclivities. So maybe like what would work for, Zach Powell, maybe not necessarily crossing over to, like your attributes or what could work in this fight.
Yeah, exactly.
And to that point, like, do you think, like, I mean, with you coming down in weight there, do you think like the range is going to be a big thing for you, just being able to like manage the distance well and just kind of have that like longer sort of frame? Like, do you think that's going to, I mean, not that it's not evident in some of your previous fights there, but do you think it's going to be even more compounded with this divisional switch, just the range management and the, I guess, reach opportunities?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be more pronounced going down to lightweight, so it will be something that guys will have to adjust for coming to fight me. Even though I may not be the tallest lightweight, I still am on the taller end, but I do have quite a bit of reach advantage on guys at welterweight, so at lightweight it's going to be even more pronounced.
Yeah, for sure, man. And just, yeah, I mean, it's cool that you've had such like a cool training lineage. Like, it seems like the coaches that you've worked with have been kind of in the corner for quite a while there, like Rory McDonald and everything like that. Like, it seems like that's been a big role in like growing the jiu-jitsu game there overall. And one of the last times we were talking there, you were at the purple belt level there. Like, is that still kind of where you're at, like still chipping away in, that kind of tier and all that?
Yeah, like I've been working my grappling consistently with the same team for quite a few years now, and I find I'm really finding my groove now with Lyndon Whitlock as my head trainer right now, and we're also working with Paul Jalbert. And in terms of like rankings, I haven't been ranked as much in the jiu-jitsu realm, as mainly I am a no-gi competitor. So, but like I would say that purple belt would be kind of the level that I'd be at. But I'm willing to test my grappling skills against really anybody. I do feel like I've really been coming into my own as a full MMA fighter, and I'm working every aspect of my MMA game.
Yeah, and a lot of cool aspects as of late too. I mean, like the last of the Hards trading card there. I kind of wanted to talk about that because that's really cool, getting your own collector's card, and just looks really good too. I mean, some great stuff that those guys are putting out. So can you talk about the feelings of like getting your own trading card there? I imagine that probably got a good reaction out of you.
Yeah, things like that, it's like really surreal, it's not really something that you think about, and then when it happens, it's just like with the quality and attention to detail, like how it turned out. Like, that was a really cool project that I got to be a part of, and it's just like things like that, it kind of makes you appreciate like how far you've come. And
I feel like I know the answer to this, but thought to posit it all the same, because obviously going into the last fight undefeated and everything like that, I mean, but you don't seem at all dissuaded in your path at all, like even to the point of it being like an ego hit for a brief period. Like, is that derived from just your whole like martial arts as a lifestyle kind of attitude there, and just realizing that's kind of part of the journey invariably there? Like, can you speak to that? Because it doesn't seem like there's that, because for some fighters almost it's like I have to stay undefeated, and then when they take that first loss, it's like some sort of like devastating kind of thing for them. But it seems like you made the proper adaptation. So I guess, can you speak to that there?
Yeah, like I've gone through defeats in my past, right, in my amateur career, and I know it's not always going to be like undefeated, like especially when you're testing yourself against fighters of that caliber. I took a very big risk, right? And with high risk comes high rewards. So I'm definitely not dissuaded at all with the last loss. Enough time has passed by, and we've done enough training and kind of reflecting on that bout where I'm just ready to move forward. I was supposed to be on the previous BFL card. Unfortunately, it fell through. So we're like 6+ months removed from the last bout, and I'm just ready to put on another show. I know it's not always going to be it's not always going to be sunshine and rainbows, right? Like, I'm here for the long haul, and I've got a lot more to show in my career. I'm just excited to get back in there.
Oh, yeah, and I love that attitude for sure there, no doubt, because, yeah, it's such a part of the game, and like you said, like during the amateur run, that was something that had already been experienced there. But, yeah, talking about the show and everything like that, like I saw on the PhD show when you were appearing there, I didn't know you had like a side gig there. You deliver medical cannabis there. How long has that been a thing for you?
Yeah, that was actually more something I was doing during the initial like lockdown pandemic, since my security gig at the time had closed down. But my main side gigs that I do are security. So I work in a luxury hotel as a security guard, but no longer delivering medical cannabis anymore.
How was that experience, though, overall? Pretty casual sort of job? Any, like, zany stories or just kind of whatever, just delivering something to someone's house and moving on with your day? Pretty casual?
Yeah, honestly, it wasn't really anything too exciting. It's just, like, delivering boxes to people's houses. It was all, like, regulated from the government and everything, so it's not like I was really in contact with the product at all. So it was all very, like, regulated and nothing too exciting.
What about the luxury hotel security? Like, do you ever get a situation where there's like a drunk, like millionaire dude wiling out and you gotta like kind of restrain him or something like that, or similar kind of case, just casual gig?
Yeah, there's always from time to time you will have to kick out some individuals who like to flaunt their status and stuff. A lot of "you don't know who I am" type individuals, but after training all day long, I'm not really looking to get into any type of bar fights, so I'm able to de-escalate the situation and get them out without anybody getting roughed up most of the time.
I was gonna say most of the time. I feel like there's been a time or two where the guys push the buttons a little bit. 'Cause, I mean, that's kind of a meta sort of statement there. The guys are saying, "Oh, you don't know who I am." It's like, oh well, I don't think you know who I am, though.
Yeah, let's just say a couple times I had to use the jiu-jitsu prowess outside of the cage, right? But the goal is to keep everyone intact when you get them out of the bar.
Just breaking out an atomic butt drop on the street, a la your Kitchener fight there, something like that.
Yeah, I haven't had to bust that one out yet, but I keep that one in my back pocket.
Literally and figuratively. But yeah, great to have you on. Always fun talking to you, man. I want to be, mindful of the rest of your schedule, though. So to that point, Kyran, is there anything you might want to add as a parting thought as we're wrapping up here, man?
No, yeah, I just want everyone to tune in February 17th. It's going to be a hell of a fight. I'm fighting a scrappy guy who wants to keep his record intact. So, tune in. I've been working a lot on my skills, and I'm ready to show them.
Well, it's an incredible fight. When I saw it was announced, I was very excited for sure. And that interim lightweight championship fight, people can check out in the Vancouver, BC area if you happen to be around. But if not, you can also check it out on UFC Fight Pass. And yeah, thanks again for coming on the show, man, and giving such great insights. Best of luck with the rest of the preparations, and just enjoy the rest of your day too, man.
Great. Thank you so much for having me.